with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Penn Fed Realty, and my joke is since I live the closest, that's how I got this job. But I'm wearing my home t-shirt today that I got at the workroom from Janelle King. She'll appreciate that plug there. But I'm with Bryan Frye, who is a city council person. And what district are you with?
I represent District 5, which is the far northwest part of town.
Okay.
So basically north of Maple, west of 235 is the rough parameters.
Okay.
Familiar with northwest part of town, it's New Market Square, Bishop Carroll, the zoo, all of that out there.
Oh, that's a great area to be in.
Absolutely.
And Bryan and I have known each other from media. We both did media at one point and hung out at the state fair for many weeks of rain. But you're here today because I wanted to kind of talk about Wichita, because part of real estate is people sometimes choose to come here and sometimes they have to come here with a job or a parent or something. But Wichita has changed, and I was out with some of my friends this weekend, and they've lived all over the world. They grew up in New York, they've lived in London, they've lived in LA, and they've brought their company here. Excellent. And they've expanded here, and they were talking about how fun it is to just jump the trolley or get an Uber and know that you're pretty safe, and all the people that they've met, and they actually live in Old Town and they like it, and they're in their 70s, and when their friends come, they're like, we can't believe how cheap it is to live here. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk with you about today, kind of where we came from and where we're going.
Absolutely. You know, I was raised in Wichita, spent almost all of my life here, graduated from Wichita State and thought I had to move away.
Which is what I did.
And I moved to Dallas and was there for a year, and I boomeranged back. And there's a group in town that is really starting to push that boomerang, the people that have moved away and then came back to Wichita because this is where they wanted to be.
Right.
Because it is a great place to raise a family.
Right.
It's a great place to start a business. It's a great place to expand your business.
Right.
Because it doesn't have all of the huge big city challenges, but it's not a small town either. So it's in that sweet spot.
Right.
Right? And you've got all the cultural activities that you need. You've got all the great special events. You've got the sports franchises, but you don't have the big city hassle.
Right.
I was just in Oakland this last weekend and on business, and man, the traffic was intense.
You've got to leave a couple of hours ahead of time.
Oh my goodness. And it's just crazy. And I'm like, no, I mean, here in Wichita, one side of town to the other is 15 minutes. I'm fine with that.
Right.
I love that.
Or you can jump on the trolley system.
Absolutely.
And you're in for Pete Meitzner, who had to not be here today, so I appreciate you showing up on a short notice.
No problem.
But Pete was talking about yesterday when we were chatting that, you know, the trolley system used to be kind of just downtown and kind of take you around, and now it's expanded.
Absolutely.
And the ridership has gone through the roof.
It's through the roof. You can go now from Clifton Square all the way to Delano.
To the clock, about the clock tower.
Yeah, a little bit past the clock tower. So you've got, what is that, 3.5 miles, almost 4 miles?
I thought it would say about 4 miles.
Yeah. And great stops up and down, right? It operates till 1 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. So for all you late nighters,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm past that now. I've got a 12-year-old son today, so that happened in history.
He wanted to promote it as his son's birthday.
Yep, happy birthday, Carson. And I got a 15-year-old daughter, and they love coming downtown. They love riding the trolley and going and checking out all the murals and taking pictures and seeing the public art and going to 86 Cold Press and getting a juice or the rolled ice cream place. I mean, they just love doing those things, which we didn't have when we were kids growing up.
Even the city building downtown, as far as the one in the... it's a city arts building.
Yes.
I mean, there's silversmithing classes and painting classes and all kinds of things that we didn't have, and all kinds of fun things to do in the summer, which we'll talk about in the summer. But, you know, when we were kids, it was dragging Douglas.
Yeah. When I was a kid, the only reason I came downtown was a bus transfer to then go to Twin Lakes where my grandparents lived.
Oh, okay.
And that was the only reason we came downtown, was the bus transfer was at the Fourth National Bank building.
Right.
But now, like I said, my kids, and their friends, they love coming downtown and seeing the sights and just being part of it.
And one great thing about Wichita, it's relatively safe to send your 15 and 13-year-old.
Yeah, I have no fear. I mean, obviously now they have cell phones with tracking devices on each one of them. So
you have no fear.
And I have a special set of skills. So.
Yeah. Do they know who their daddy is and what he does for the city?
That's right.
So, so we were talking a little bit about, before we went on the air, about progress. And progress is orange cones and detours.
Absolutely. You know, I'm a big fan of cones and cranes because that tells me things are moving in the right direction. There's going to be improvements made. New roads, new infrastructure, whether it be sewer and water, but primarily it's roads. You know, right now we got a lot of construction going on as it relates to residential street improvements. Because of the sale of the Hyatt, we were able to fund a lot of crack seal replacements and make roads smoother. We're building out 235 in Kellogg, which has been a nightmare that's needed to be replaced since the day it was put in.
Yeah.
And then East Kellogg with all the improvements out there. So, yeah, it's a little short-term pain, but at the end, I mean, it's going to be fantastic. Now we need to turn our attention to the North Junction up at K96 and 254 and 135, that big cloverleaf there. But, again, it's all signs of progress and means it's a growing community.
One thing that when people come from out of town and I put them in my car and drive them to their new locations and drive them around, they tell me how clean the city is. It's like, wow, we don't see things in the gutters. It's relatively a clean.
We have some great volunteers. There was a downtown river cleanup before River Festival where they had thousands show up. I think it's like almost 3,000 people to show up to help clean the river for the River Festival.
And volunteer to do it on a Saturday.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is great. I like to talk about, there's a phrase that I've been using lately. You know, we always talk about our aerospace industry and the quality of our work. There's also the quality of our space. You know, people talk about, you know, a quality of life. For me, it's the quality of our space.
Right.
What we do as a community, the investments that we're making to make this a more livable community, not only for us, but for those people that want to move here. And you're seeing it with the All ICT, which is the new advanced learning library. You're seeing it with the improvements we're making with our park and recreation systems, downtown along Douglas with all the street improvements.
Right. Well, even the Douglas Design District, because that's
absolutely
what has made those
Shout
murals.
out to Janelle King again.
Yes, yeah. I'll have to have Janelle on the show soon.
Absolutely.
I see her around a lot. I just got to get her on the show. But she did the Wichita Open Streets, which a lot of people know about. That took exactly
Open Streets
the trolley
ICT.
That was a fun day.
It was a fun day, and all the stuff that's happening in Delano, along with the baseball stadium and the river corridor. This is probably the most exciting time I've lived in Wichita.
I thought the same thing, but I thought it was only me.
No, I think our morale is at an all-time high, and you're seeing it with the flag. You're seeing it happen out at Wichita State. It's just amazing to be in Wichita at this time, and I think it's catching. And kudos to just all ages. I mean, you're seeing it with the seniors all the way to the millennials.
Right.
So.
Well, that concludes our show for today. I've been informed we will not have a show next week, but when we do have a show...
Because of me? It's
gone so bad. Yes. But we will be back, and my next guest is actually going to be my boss. And we will be discussing my morale. No, we were discussing how to be a realtor. Thank you.